All right, dogs by nature, Rufio here. Today we're going to take a look at the Cleveland Browns offense, and specifically we're going to look at predictability. Maybe this goes without saying, but in football, the offense has the advantage of knowing what the play is going to be, where the players are going, and when they're going to go there. And that holds true whether you're the quarterback or a wide receiver or an offensive lineman, right? If you're a lineman, you know what the snap count is, first of all. Second, if you're running or passing. Third, if you're passing, you know kind of what the drop of the quarterback is going to be. And so you can understand your pass protection based on kind of the depth, right? How long you have to protect for. And then also, you understand what kind of protection is being called. Are you sliding? Are you big on big? Do you have a back end to help kind of chip on his way out of the backfield? Things of that nature. And this goes for every position on the field, right? Receivers know which route they're going to run, where they're going to go, the timing of the quarterback as well. And then the quarterback should have both an understanding and a view of the entire play that's happening on the field. Well, as an offense, it's very important to maintain these advantages of knowing what you're running before the snap. If the defense can get a read on what you're doing and have a guess, or can kind of limit the choices that you have, limit the plays that are going to come at them, they can be a lot more prepared to stop them. And then it's just a matter of, can they get to the right place at the right time? An offense wants a defense that is on its heels and that is having to play honest, defending multiple options at the same time. We've heard some things this year about the Browns offense being predictable. I believe it was Shaquille Griffin, the Seattle Seahawks, was talked about after the game how he's kind of pointing out the Browns' plays. On one pass breakup in particular, he's kind of telling his teammate, "Hey, the plays going here ended up being deflected for an interception." Now, while obviously there is some kind of element of luck on that play, there are clearly tendencies that defenses are picking up on that the Browns have. And this is really bad, right? Because it tips our hand to the defense when they know what's coming before the snap. So looking at a few plays from the Broncos game here, we're headed into the half. The Browns are down 8 points here with under 2 minutes to go. It's 1st and 10, and we have the full field to go. So these plays, these passing concepts that we're running, there's nothing wrong with them. And in fact, I like them quite a bit. They give us some different options. So this first passing concept is an all-curl concept. We have Beckham on the outside here, Seals Jones over the middle, and then this is Callaway up high, all running curl routes, which typically you run all curls with flat routes to control the flat defenders. But in this case, we have Jarvis Landry running a slot fade here. And I actually like that as well. It's a little change up to the all curl pattern. These curl routes are great against man-to-man coverage. If that corner's playing up tight, Beckham or Callaway can really threaten deep with their speed, shake them off, push deep, and then turn around and break toward the ball, and the quarterback can deliver the ball on time, on target, and that kind of rhythm is hard for the corner to stop when he doesn't know if it's going to be a deep route or a curl. Sometimes you'll see offenses as well, if they get press man, they'll convert this into a fade, and there's nothing wrong with throwing the ball up to a receiver like Beckham on a fade near the sideline, before the safety can get over to help. Against off man, which this could be, but I'm pretty sure it's not, but plays out pretty much how off man would play out. The receiver can just simply use the defensive back's cushion against him, threaten down the field, blow that cover off, and then turn around and wait for the ball, which is exactly what happens on this play. Against a 3-deep coverage, 3-deep zone, which this was, I believe we have 2 corners and the safety here in the deep shell. And the Broncos dropped 4 underneath in zones. So it's a 3-deep, 4 underneath zone coverage. As long as you control the flat defenders, which we do here with Jarvis Landry, and also the fact that the Broncos chose to drop a defensive end in coverage there, as long as you get people out of the alleys, out of the throwing lanes to these outside receivers, is a great concept as well. 3-deep coverage, typically these corners are going to be soft, and so again, we just it's pitch and catch. It's just a timing route and easy first down or easy completion. And the last kind of family of coverage that you could see would be a 2-deep zone coverage. So typically that's cover 2. And we have some good options against that as well. If we do see, the Broncos kind of bluffing that coverage here before the snap. But if we saw that, we'd have a great high-low stretch here with Beckham underneath. and Jarvis headed deep behind him on that kind of slot fade. It turned into a smash concept with basically a high-low stretch on that cornerback on the sideline. In a cover 2 zone defense, you're going to see that corner is supposed to be a cloud corner and come up to cover Beckham here. And if he does that, obviously it's very hard to cover Landry over the top. The safety has to really gain a lot of width, and Baker can kind of drop that in the hole between that corner and safety. So the thing I like about this is that we have options built in for almost any type of coverage, and more than that, we have them all kind of built into the same side of the play. If we watch the Broncos defense before the snap here, they start off in this kind of quarters look, and I say it's a quarters look because we have off coverage by the corners, and the safeties are playing even as well. So it looks like a 4-deep shell here. A lot of times great NFL defenses, and the Broncos are a very good NFL defense, they will lie to you about the coverage before the snap. So as we see that cadence start, where Bitonio kind of taps the leg of Treader puts his head down, now we get an entirely different look with 2 linebackers threatening to blitz up the A gap and the B gap here. We also see the rotation of the safety coming down into the box as that cadence starts as well, which gives away that this is going to be a single high coverage. Now after the snap, the Broncos give us yet a third look, right? So that linebacker who was bluffing up at the line, up in an A gap, ends up popping out and dropping into a zone. That safety does rotate down, but now we have one of these so-called creeper blitzes that the Browns were really struggling with earlier in the year. A creeper blitz is where the defense sends actually only 4 rushers after the quarterback, but it's not the 4 rushers you'd expect. So I mentioned earlier that they did drop this defensive end here into coverage, so they're kind of replacing him with that blitzing linebacker on the other side. Now, the Browns of late have been much better at picking up this kind of blitz, which is another great sign for Freddie Kitchens, Todd Monken, and the Browns. But unfortunately, there's more to it than just sorting out our protections and picking up these blitzes. We still got to find open receivers and create separation downfield for our guys, and then get Baker's eyes on the right people. So on this play, obviously, we were able to do that. But the downside of this play is that this is where I started to pick up the tendency of what the Browns were doing with their backfield. So as we go to the end zone angle, we'll be able to see this here. If we take a look, note the positioning of our tight end and our running back. Okay, so that's Seals-Jones here, and we've split Seals-Jones out away from the formation, and he is in a 2-point stance. And in this drive, every time that Seals-Jones was split away from the formation in this 2-point stance, we threw the ball. Obviously, it's a passing situation. We're going to throw the ball a lot anyway, but why tip your hand to the defense? Additionally, pay attention to Hilliard here, Dontrell Hilliard in the backfield. He is lined up even with the quarterback's front foot. Okay, so Baker, as he adjusts, we are now even with the quarterback's front foot, and he is in the B gap here between the guard and the tackle. Pay attention to this positioning. We're going to see it change in the upcoming plays. So here we have the very next play. We have a favorable situation, 2nd and 2, and we run another concept I actually really like out of this kind of very similar shotgun spread set. We have trips this time to the left, so we just flip the formation. But on the near side of the field, we're going to have a slant flat concept. And that's great against a 3-deep look. 3-deep, typically you'll have one flat defender coming from the inside out. And we're basically stressing that defender by crisscrossing in front of him, pulling in both directions. He can't cover both guys. Against man-to-man coverage, this slant route is a really good option here. If we feel like our receiver can beat that corner inside, just one step inside, hit him with the ball. It's a nice quick-hitting play and great against man-to-man coverage. Additionally, against man-to-man coverage, we have a crossing action, so we'll create natural picks with the receiver headed inside and the back into the flat. Someone has to come from the inside of the field, be it a linebacker, defensive end, or the safety here, to expand with the back as he's covering that, and they have to sift through the trash of this corner and receiver headed inside. So in this case, it is man-to-man coverage. We do see the receiver open underneath if we want it. We also see the back running open into the flat if we want that. And in this case, it was that safety, again, trying to bluff that he was playing a deep half of the field coverage, who actually is going to come up to cover the back man-to-man. So he's obviously got a lot of ground to cover, and the advantage that he gains from that is that it's harder to read the defense But the disadvantage is that on the snap, he has to cover quite a bit of ground and sort through this trash. You see him kind of taking his steps out of the way to avoid Callaway and that defender on the way in. So again, against man-to-man coverage, 3D coverage, we have great options here in the slant flat concept. It's something Baker's probably been running since his days at Lake Travis High School, something he's very familiar with. And as long as he's on the same page with his receivers, it's a dangerous, dangerous weapon in the passing game. Now, to the high side of the field, we have what I call a stick concept. So what that is the outside receiver is going to run a deep route, kind of a clearing route, a fade or a go. Inside of him, we're going to have 2 outs, and Jarvis Landry is here in the slot as the middle receiver. He's going to run the quickest out. It's going to be shallow. Sometimes this route can be just a shoot route to the flat. You don't have to really gain any downfield kind of yardage at all, any vertical yards at all. And outside of him, we're going to have a little bit slower developing out route. Not only is this a tight end, but we're going to take a little bit deeper, and then this tight end is going to kind of break square outside. And so what we're doing with those 2 out routes is we're creating horizontal stretch with Landry going out first, the tight end kind of following. We create a stretch, and again, if we only have one underneath defender in the flat, as we would against a cover 3 type of defense or a quarters type of defense, then one of those 2 guys is going to be open, right? There's one guy to guard the flat, and he can't guard both guys. Against man-to-man, both these routes are pretty good options. Landry one-on-one against the corner on a short route, or Seals Jones with a square out against the linebacker. Those are good matchups and hard routes to cover when you're in man-to-man coverage, especially if you have to worry about the threat of the deep route from this position as well. Now, against cover 2, these concepts aren't the best. Stick can be okay if we're willing to, again, stretch that corner with a high-low. So with that fade route, if we have one corner who's squatting up here in cover 2, that fade route is either going to carry that corner deep and then leave Landry open underneath, or that corner will come up to cover Landry and we can kind of drop it in the bucket in that hole between the corner and the safety to Odell. So again, a lot to like about these concepts. There's a lot of answers. They're quick hitting plays. It looks like we're solving our protection issues. We're working through them that we had earlier in the year. But what I don't like about this is what we give away, again, with our positioning. So as I go to the end zone angle, we'll be able to see this better here. Again, we have Seals Jones in a 2-point stance, split from the line. And again, he's going to go out into the route. He's not going to chip. He's not going to stay in the protection. He's also not going to run block, right? So we tip our hand to the defense that he's going out into the route immediately when we split him out like this. Additionally, if we look at Hilliard, he is now not aligned in the B gap. If you remember on the previous play, he was in the B gap between the guard and the tackle. He is now wide right behind that tackle. And we're doing that because it's to cheat him out into the flat, to get him to release immediately and gain that width and stretch those underneath zone players. But we gain a yard, maybe. I don't think the trade-off is worth it, right? Because we gain a yard, but we tell the defense, hey, immediately 25 is into the route, he's into the flat. And if they had some kind of all-out blitz plan where we can just kind of hit him on a hot route, they're going to be able to see this, recognize, and check out of it. So it's these little pre-snap tells that I think we're giving things away to the defense too early. And in my opinion, it's not worth the trade-off that we get, right? Just bump Hilliard inside another half yard. He's a fast back. He'll be able to get out there and space the field like he needs to in the passing concept. All right, the last play I want to highlight from this drive is the only run that we ran in the entire drive. Now, obviously, under 2 minutes left, we had the full length of the field to go. This is not going to be a very common running situation. So this is not a time where we should line up and pound the rock with Nick Chubb 20 times in the drive, right? We're going to run out of time in the half. But we did have 3 timeouts here, and we did have a decent amount of time. So especially if you're gaining chunk yardage, right? It doesn't really matter if we had to stop the clock once or twice on our way down the field. So I actually like the call here that we're running a draw. This is the perfect time to catch a defense off balance. But the draw play relies on this threat of surprise, right? It's a constraint play. The draw only really works if the defense is worried about the pass, and the draw works better and better if the defense keeps safeties deep and if they send their ends and their tackles penetrating the line of scrimmage, really trying to jump the snap count and get sacks to end the drive. It's a play that can really punish a defense for overcommitting to the pass, and so we should make it look exactly like a passing play before we inevitably hand the ball off to the back. Now, you can already kind of see from this angle the differences in our alignments before the snap. First of all, Skills Jones is in a 3-point stance, and this right now is a dead giveaway. We're running the ball here. He's in line with the tackle. He's in a 3-point stance, but pay attention also to the running back's positioning. If I flip back to the previous play, we can clearly see Hilliard is in line with the quarterback. He is lined up directly next to him, and then either in the B gap or outside by the tackle, depending on what he's doing on the play. But when I come to the draw play, we see Hilliard behind the quarterback, 1 yard back from his normal alignment. This is a giveaway to the defense that we're going to run the ball. And it is a better positioning for the back. It's a better track on a draw play, or if we're going to run some sort of zone, block concept, or really any play out of this gun, having that back, cheat backward a yard, it's a better track for the back. It gets him running a little bit more downhill. But what we lose is that the defense can now see that this is clearly coming. I don't think what we gain by just getting the back on a slightly better track is worth it if we're giving the defense the play before the snap. So as I roll this forward, we can see we run the draw. We have enough guys to block this. There are only 3 guys here. We have 3 defenders there as well. If we can get one of them blocking, we have Hilliard one-on-one in space with either a safety or a linebacker. And if he can shake them loose, he's got 20 yards at a minimum. Unfortunately here, we're not able to get great blocks on those guys, and Hilliard stopped for a 4-yard gain. And so this is what I'm talking about, where the run it's a great call, right? We're going to catch the defense off guard, but if we're going to do that, we got to make all our plays look the same so that the defense can't tell this is coming. So from the end zone angle here, we can plainly see Seals Jones, again, 3-point stance. Hilliard, 1 yard deep. His toes are now behind the quarterback's back foot, whereas earlier they were in line with his front foot. It's little things like these that are just giveaways to the defense that are making it hard on the Browns right now. I really love to see us clean these up. And you can better believe if I can see these things on film and I'm noticing them, then NFL defensive coordinators and players are noticing them too. And when they get a jump on what the plays the Browns are running, it's really, really hard to run our offense and find success. So obviously we got this cleaned up a little bit, had a great win over the Buffalo Bills this past Sunday, and hopefully really the Browns coaches and players can sort these kind of issues out, stop cheating players around to get them in better positions, trust them to get where they need to be, and really sell these things to the defense, right? Make everything look the same before the snap. So that's it for me. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Rufio. Make sure to visit dogsbynature.com for all your Cleveland Browns news and analysis. We'll see you in the next one.